Hello. For my persuasive speech, I am going to be talking about how I feel about the subject of animal abuse and cruelty. Here we go. What would you do if you witnessed an animal being abused? Would you attempt to stop it in any way you could and help that poor animal? Would you report what you had witnessed to an animal control specialist or the police? Or would you just ignore the situation completely and think, well, it's not my animal, not my problem? Most people don't really know what they would do in this type of situation. Good afternoon. My name is Heather Sanders. Today I am going to be talking about animal cruelty and abuse. During this speech, I am going to keep the focus specifically on domestic animals, such as cats and dogs, since these are the animals who have a tendency to get abused more than any other. Did you know that in media reported animal cruelty cases from the years 2007 and 2008, there were more than 1,880 cruelty cases reported. Of those 1,880, 1,212 of these cases reported were about dogs, 337 included cats, and the other 470 reported was about any other type of animal, such as a horse, cow, pig, bunny rabbit, any other animal. Just think, 1,880 cases reported in just that 1 year. That doesn't even include the cases that were anonymous and left unreported. I bet this number has quadrupled since the year 2007. There are way too many poor and defenseless animals out there being abused throughout the years, and it is time for the cruelty and abuse to stop. Now, the questions on your mind could be, what are some of the ways people abuse these animals? Or maybe even, what would cause someone to be so cruel to hurt an innocent animal? Let me start off on answering these questions by talking about the ways in which people can be abusive or cruel to their animals. The top acts of animal cruelty include terrible things, such as animal testing, forcing the animal to fight or race another animal, physical abuse to the animal, such as killing, biting, burning, hitting, kicking, poisoning, anything you can imagine. People have done it and will do it. And showing neglect to their animals. That could be doing anything from not feeding or giving your animal water, to just not showing them any attention and love, or yelling at them constantly. I do not understand how someone could be so mean, so cruel, and so hateful to abuse an animal, but unfortunately, it happens a lot more than it should. To answer the second question, there are two different forms of animal abuse and cruelty: unintentional abuse and intentional abuse. Unintentional abuse is when the perpetrator is unaware that they are abusing the animal. For example, a young child who has the first pet. They could be mean or cruel to this animal and not even realize they're doing it. They could play with it too rough. They could forget to feed it. They could throw it down. Anything that you can imagine a little child doing to an animal is a form of unintentional animal abuse. Another example could be someone who's just had a rough day and accidentally takes their anger out on the animal. Maybe they come home from work or school and had a rough day, and the animal they have is just being pesky, jumping all over them. Push it down, hits the table. Well, it may seem like it bounces back pretty quick, but in reality, that hurts. Hurts the animal, hurts their feelings, makes them get bruises. Same thing that would happen to us. We wouldn't like it, so why would they? Completely unintentional abuse, but it's still abuse. Now, the other form of abuse is the one that drives me crazy. I think that anyone that intentionally abuses an animal should be put in jail like that. I know that's a cruel opinion, but that's how strongly I feel about this subject. Intentional abuse is the form of abuse in which the perpetrator knows that they're hurting the animal and just does not care. They will still hurt the animal. An example of this is like the animals that I discussed earlier, like the physical and mental abuse, the racing of animals, fighting animals, stuff like that. Completely intentional. They do it on purpose, and they don't care. They may or may not realize they're hurting the animal, but it's still abuse. With people in the world who abuse and neglect their poor and defenseless animals, they need people to help them out. There are some ways in which people like us can help them. There are both some worldwide animal foundations, such as the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, or the ASPCA, if you may or may not have heard, that work to rescue animals from abuse. There are also plenty of things people can do in communities to raise awareness for animal abuse. For example, you can familiarize yourself with who to call and when to call to report animal abuse. That is a really good step to take. That way when you see it out, you know if it's severe enough to call and who to call if it is severe enough. Also, there are local animal shelters in most towns, or at least close enough where you can drive to, that would help out. If not, you may have to rely on the police department and call them up and say, hey, this dog, I found it on this street, is getting abused, what can I do? And they'll direct you to the next step. It is important to get familiar with the types of cruelty so that you can report them. Another way you can prevent cruelty is to fight for animal rights and the passage of strong anti-cruelty laws by joining with the federal, state, and local levels of the animal foundations, such as the ASPCA we just talked about, to have them give you more information on ways to inform your community to stop cruelty and maybe even get some more people interested in your community. Another way you can help the animals in need in your community is to volunteer at close-by animal shelters. This can mean donate food to them, give some money maybe, or even if you have a little extra personal time, go out there. Say, hey, I want to volunteer, and go out there and give them some love, give the animals attention they need. This could mean maybe donating just food if you have it extra. Go to Walmart, buy a $10 bag of dog food, bring it out there. I've done that personally, and I love doing that. I do that all the time. It is the one thing that I feel like I can do to help them. Plus, if you give them enough food, they'll have more food to feed other animals, and they'll euthanize less. And if you don't know, euthanize means they'll put that dog or cat to sleep, and there's another life gone. You can save a life just by getting a bag of dog food or cat food or whatever. Trust me, these places could use all the help they could get. There are plenty of things people can do to help animals. You just have to know where to look. Also, if these ideas aren't enough, you can Google, like I did, ways to help animal abuse, or even try to Google ways to help in your community to stop abuse. Anything like that, and you will get tons of websites that have so much information that is so helpful. To end the speech, I challenge you to somehow, however you personally feel led to, take action against animal cruelty and abuse. Become familiar with the foundations such as the ASPCA. Volunteer at shelters, make donations, whatever you feel is right to help these animals. That way you can recognize animal cruelty and hopefully put a stop to this abuse for good. Thank you.